Well, as has been heavily reported this morning, the fixes to healthcare.gov will most likely not be done by the end of this month.
But what may just be as big of a question as whether it is right and just for the government to determine the level of health insurance that you carry.
He's making those noises.
Well, because she intentionally said right and just.
That's exactly
right. My blood pressure would go up.
Judge Andrew Napolitano.
I did not read the prompter as it was written. I said right and just.
Your Honor?
And legal.
Pleasure to be with both of you. The decision about whether it's right and just has been resolved long before today.
Yeah.
The Congress decided, from Congress's point of view, it was right and just to decide what a standard insurance policy would be, and the Supreme Court put its imprimatur on that when it decided the means used to coerce people into these policies is a tax. Therefore, the entire statute is unconstitutional. In my view, both those arguments are flawed, but that's the law of the land. So when the president says, if they're making you get rid of your policy, it's because it's substandard.
Yes.
That substandard policy is the policy that the president also said, if you have it and you like it, you can keep it. But what he didn't tell the American public was, if it doesn't comply with what the Obamacare standards say it must comply with, you will not be able to keep it because it'll be unlawful. So insurance carriers cannot offer, as of January 1, 2014, just a month and a half from now, cannot offer the policies that people had before that didn't conform to Obamacare. By conforming to Obamacare, requiring coverage for a lot more things than the policies had before Obamacare, the cost goes up, and many carriers don't want to offer those policies to people, so they drop them.
So you think there's a way, because you're right, and it's interesting even after President Clinton's comments yesterday to hear the reaction from the White House. They're going back to that substandard argument where they're saying, well, we don't really want to go back and redo this because we don't want to put people on, again, substandard policies. So you wonder what's going to happen next to fix this.
Well, a couple things can happen. First, if I could give a political analysis, I think the White House disagrees with President Clinton at its peril. I mean, President Clinton has captured, as he uniquely has been doing for 30 years, the public sentiment on this. And the public sentiment is, hey, we had a deal with you, President Obama, and the deal was if we liked our doctor and we liked our policy, we could keep our doctor and keep our policy. You didn't tell us we could keep the same policy only if we conformed it to what you say we have to have.
Right.
Look at me. I'm an unmarried male. I have to have coverage for abortion in my policy. I have to have a coverage for prenatal care in my policy. This is ridiculous. But here's the problem. The president will never change the core of Obamacare, which is a bottom line to which everybody conforms. And in order to save these pre-existing policies, he'll have to change that by saying the pre-existing policies are now lawful. The insurance companies will be happy to keep the pre-existing policies because they cover less than Obamacare covers, and they charge less than Obamacare will require in order to fund.
But then in that equation, who then foots the bill for those Americans who have pre-existing conditions?
Yes.
Who are older, who are not being charged what would be the market rate for those policies. They're getting cheap. They're getting cut rates.
That's what happens when the government puts its heavy, dirty fingernailed thumb on the free market by saying you will cover this even though there isn't enough money to pay for it. Now, I don't think the president will ever change the core of the policy because this is his legacy. Yet it is that core that has caused millions to lose their coverage, contrary to his promises.
You in the start over camp? Do you think we'll ever get to that point where it's scrapped immediately after this administration or some point?
You'd need a free market Republican in the White House.
The next presidency.
And a majority of free market folks, don't necessarily be Republicans, in the Congress. But think of it this way. Bill Clinton has tapped a wellspring of opposition to this among Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean, last week, 15 Democrats from the Senate they're all running for re-election next year, tried to meet with the president in secret. Ed Henry found out about it. This week, Bill Clinton is criticizing the president in public. This thing's going down.
Maybe helped out his wife a little bit, too, by the way.
It goes back to what
separates his wife from this legacy.
But it goes back to what we talked about until we were blue in the face when they were passing this law. Some 3 years ago, nobody in Washington understood what was in it and how it would play out on the American landscape. They didn't read it, they didn't know, and now they gotten caught with their pants down.
Because the law was written by progressive ideologues who believe that their vision for America, which is forced equality, forced egalitarianism, is better than the individual choice of free people in a free society. And they don't understand economics. They